Let's talk about dogs. We love them, right? They're part of the family. But behind all those wagging tails and happy faces, there's this quiet crisis going on. And the tough part is, it's a crisis that we created. Today, we're going to dig into the real story of purebred dogs and the health problems that have been literally baked into their DNA. You've probably seen it, maybe even lived it. We absolutely adore our dogs, but it seems like so many of them are plagued with health issues. You spend a fortune on a beautiful purebred puppy, and then you end up spending even more at the vet's office. Why is that? Why do certain breeds seem almost guaranteed to have painful, life-shortening problems? Well, I can tell you it's not just bad luck. In a way, it's by design. I mean, think about those super cute flat-faced dogs we see everywhere. That squished-in nose is something we specifically bred for, but what we think is adorable is actually a skull so compressed that it can turn every single breath into a real struggle. And then you've got those long-bodied breeds, like Dachshunds. We love their unique shape, but that look puts a tremendous amount of strain on their spine, making them incredibly vulnerable to debilitating, even paralyzing back problems. And what about our beautiful, majestic giant breeds? That incredible size we admire so much? Well, that's also a product of our selective breeding, and it often comes with a tragic cost. Things like higher cancer rates and just heartbreakingly short lifespans. So, how on earth did we get here? To really get it, we have to go back in time. The entire story really hinges on this huge shift in why we breed dogs. The reason changed, and that changed everything. For most of history, dogs had jobs to do. We started with wolves, bred them to be useful for hunting, herding, guarding. Dogs were bred for what they could do. They were these sturdy, functional animals shaped by their work. But then, about 150 years ago in the Victorian era, everything flipped. People became obsessed with how dogs looked. They started kennel clubs, wrote up these strict breed standards, and suddenly, a dog's value wasn't its skill, but its appearance. And this right here, this is the moment everything changed. This is the pivot point, the move from breeding for function to breeding for form. It's when we started putting vanity before vitality, and that one decision set the stage for all the genetic problems we're dealing with today. So, this new obsession with looks had a massive, massive impact right down at the genetic level. To create all these different, very specific appearances, breeders had to mess with dog DNA in some pretty extreme ways. Now get this, it's kind of mind-blowing. All dogs, I'm talking from a tiny Chihuahua to a massive Great Dane, are 99.9% genetically identical. Which means every single difference we see, their size, their fur, the shape of their ears, everything, it all comes from the tiny, tiny variations in that 0.1% of their DNA. And breeders learned how to target that little sliver of code with incredible precision. So how'd they do it? Well, one key concept is something called the founder effect. To create a new breed, you start with just a few founder dogs that have the traits you're looking for. The problem is, when you start with such a small gene pool, any hidden genetic issues those few founders might have get concentrated and passed down, becoming super common in all their descendants. And to really fix a look and make it consistent, breeders often turn to inbreeding, mating closely related dogs like cousins or even siblings. Think of it like making a photocopy of a photocopy. The image gets really defined, sure, but every little flaw gets magnified too. See, a lot of genetic diseases are recessive. A dog can carry one faulty gene and be totally fine, but when you breed two related dogs that both carry that same faulty gene, there's a much higher chance their puppies will get a copy from both parents and, boom, the disease shows up. Inbreeding basically stacks the deck for that to happen. Okay, so that's the history and the science. But let's talk about the real world. What are the actual tangible consequences for the dogs we share our lives with? What is the true price they pay for our idea of purity? This is the heartbreaking result. It is not an accident that so many German Shepherds suffer from crippling hip dysplasia, or that pugs and bulldogs literally can't breathe properly. It's why a staggering number of Cavalier King Charles Spaniels develop a fatal heart disease, sometimes before they're even middle-aged. These aren't just random sicknesses, they are hereditary disorders that are now woven into the very fabric of the breed. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? We've taken traits that were once functional and pushed them to such extremes that they've become harmful. A muzzle that was good for breathing became a face that can't breathe. A strong, athletic body became one that's too long or too short, leading to spine and joint problems. We've literally bred dogs for looks that work against their own health. Now, it's really important to say this isn't about attacking all dog breeders. It's not that simple, because not all breeders are the same. And understanding that difference, well, it's everything. The future health of our dogs really depends on the choices we make and the kinds of people we choose to support. And the difference is, well, it's night and day. On one side, you have ethical, responsible breeders. Their main goal is to improve the breed's health and temperament. They do tons of health testing, and they'll take a dog back at any point in its life, no questions asked. Then you have the other side. Puppy mills, irresponsible backyard breeders, where the only goal is profit. Health is an afterthought, and the dogs are often kept in just awful conditions. As a buyer, your money either supports the problem or it supports the solution. So, after all this, is it just hopeless? Are we stuck? Not at all. The very same science that helped us understand these problems is now giving us the tools to start fixing them. There really is a path forward to a healthier future for our dogs. And change is happening. DNA tests can now screen for hundreds of diseases so breeders can avoid passing them on. Some kennel clubs are actually starting to rewrite their breed standards to be less extreme and more focused on health. And maybe most important of all, people, like you, buyers, are becoming more educated and are starting to demand healthy puppies from parents who've had all the proper health checks. So in the end, the power to fix this crisis really is with all of us, the breeders, the clubs, and especially the people who buy the dogs. We have the knowledge, we have the tools to breed dogs that can live longer, happier, healthier lives. The only real question left is whether we, as a society, will finally decide to put their well-being first. Will we choose their vitality over our vanity? The future of man's best friend really depends on our answer.